Alright, good morning, you guys. If you're up early watching the Pokemon Presents, I caught the tail end of it. I typically never watch Pokemon Presents just because I'm not a fan of Pokemon's like overall media, properties like Pokemon Unite. I don't care about Pokemon Champions, Pokemon Cafe, like stuff like that. I'm not really the biggest fan of. So I know it's for them, not for me type energy. That being said, the video games like I grew up with Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow on like Game Boy Color, and I kind of grew up with Pokemon for a long time. Um, there was a period, probably like around Gen 5, that I was like, I'm done with Pokemon. I kind of outgrew it. I came back in at like Sword and Shield with the Nintendo Switch era, and was definitely falling back into Pokemon again. But then, the debacle of Scarlet and Violet came out, and that was Scarlet and Violet. We all know what Scarlet and Violet was. But yeah, so I wanted to show out and see what Gen 10 was gonna be. I wanted to see if they were gonna be able to deliver on what I want them to deliver. And they finally announced Gen 10, not the leaks, right? Like, if you've seen the leaks, you've seen the leaks. I hadn't seen the leaks prior to this, to be honest. I had heard about it. I heard it's wind and waves, but I didn't know what the stars were gonna look like. I didn't know what the area was going to look like. More importantly, the game, I just wanted to make sure looked like it performed well. That was something that I was nervous about. That's something I think a lot of us were nervous about. Um, so I definitely wanted to check out the trailer to make sure that they delivered on the performance side, the visual side, because I'm gonna be honest, the Legends games, in my opinion, they look like hot trash. They look stagnant and boring. They look like I've seen better things on PlayStation 2 generation. And then Scarlet and Violet was not just, I feel like, lacking in creativity as far as like the way the game looks. That's separate from like the Pokemons and everything. Like, obviously, I actually really liked a lot of the Pokemon that they introduced in Scarlet and Violet, especially the starters. I think they were kick ass. But the game and playing the game was not it for me, and I really wanted to. I actually put a lot of time into Scarlet, and it just was not for me. For the life of me, I couldn't get into it as much as I wanted to, as much as I was hoping it. Like, I've been trying to get back into Pokemon for a really long time, um, and I'm hoping Gen 10 is the one that does it. Uh, just off rip, seeing Gen 10, seeing like I think the upgrade graphically. Clearly this was gonna be a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive. I think going into it, not a lot of us, like, I think there was conversation whether it'd be on Nintendo Switch and Switch 2. I'm very glad that they're, putting their feet, drawing the line, and saying we're going to Switch 2 only, making sure that they have the best possible chance of developing a game that, fits the brand that is Pokemon. I mean, Pokemon is the largest, money making machine in human existence at this point, and the product that they've been shilling out to people has not equated to that. It didn't make sense a lot of times, and now Wind and Waves, just off the first trailer, it looks good. It looks like it's performing pretty well graphically. I mean, obviously, we're not doing like Cyberpunk 2077 levels of graphics or anything like that. With that being said, though, for Pokemon, this is a good step, and I hate giving them that pass of like, oh, for Pokemon, we're heading in the right direction, slowly but surely, right? I typically hate doing that, but honestly, after everything happened to Scarlet and Violet, I'm happy to see this, right? If you're looking to like the game so far, what they showed us, like the starters, I think the starters look really cool. I think they're pretty cool. I think it's been a while. I think since, well, because Gen 8 I really like their starters, and Gen 9 I really like their starters, but from 5 to like 7, they weren't for me. And even when I look at them, I don't understand why people love a lot of those starters. Like, I just feel like that chunk of Pokemon kind of doesn't exist for me. Like, it was from Gen 1 to Gen 4, and then Gen 8, 9, and then hopefully 10, like, solidify some type of, you know, place for me to exist. Something that I like. Um, Seeing those starters, I definitely like them. I think the Gecko one, I'm a little softer on. I feel like he reminds me of Sobble a little bit too much. Maybe that's just me. The Fire Pomeranian, I mean, duh. Like that just makes sense. It's kind of like crazy that we haven't had that, yet. Like a fire Pomeranian sounds pretty kick-ass. I always love all the dog Pokemons. And then whatever this grass ball thing is, like, it looks cute. I typically lean more towards the grass Pokemon. Something about me looking at them says that I think the water gecko though is gonna come out probably looking the coolest. Um, Everyone's fears if they're gonna become bipedal, and yeah, they're gonna end up being bipedal. Unfortunately, that's just kind of what Pokemon does. They need that cool, kick-ass final transformation that they can sell. That they could put in the next Smash Bros. Game. Like that's kind of like part of this machine. It's so formulaic Pokemon and how it operates that it's almost hilarious how much you can predict exactly how this is gonna go. With that being said, I think they knocked it out of the park with the design, the names, the game so far. It looks like they're doing everything right. They're not releasing until 2027, so like that's another huge, like, they're taking their time. They're going slow, and I like that. Now, the thing that I'm concerned on, because I'm always concerned on this in Pokemon games, and I feel like in Gen 8 and Gen 9 it was probably a little bit more egregious than it was when it was back on like handhelds. And it's like playing the games felt very cookie cutter. And I don't mean cookie cutter in like, obviously Pokemon is a game designed for all ages, so anyone can get in no matter your age, right? So that's a super wide net you're tossing, and you know I think it's hard to deliver on something for everybody. I think Pokemon Sword and Shield, I actually did not mind it. I know a lot of people didn't like it because it was, not what they wanted. They wanted open world Pokemon, which I get it. I never really cared if I wanted open world Pokemon or not. I grew up with, again, the Game Boy, so like I liked my little path that I would take and level up my Pokemon. That was fun for me. So Sword and Shield I actually really liked. With that being said, I didn't like how formulaic a lot of the like areas looked. Everything felt like nothing felt, I guess, inspired. It all just felt kind of like, yes, this is grade A. How do you develop a Pokemon 101 game, right? And it was good. I just kind of I played it and completed it, and I was like, okay, like that was a good time. I didn't hate myself. And then Scarlet and Violet, the intro of that game, the onboarding of Scarlet and Violet was so egregious. Like the amount of times I would fall asleep trying to get through just the beginning part of, this is how you catch a Pokemon, this is how you go to shops, this is how you do this, this is how you do that. Like that slow sludge walk of a beginning of the game, and it just never felt it just felt like, dude, like, come on. Pokemon's been around for 30 years. I've done this time and time and time again. I understand the concepts. I understand, like, look, every Pokemon game is someone's first Pokemon game. I stand by that, and I fully, you know, appreciate that Pokemon Company stands on their ground with that. With all that being said, though, dude, give us an option to skip this. Give us an option to be like, yo, I've done this before. Stand down. I know how to catch a Pokemon. I understand the concepts. Unless you're completely changing, and that's the thing. If you're completely changing and doing something left turn with how we catch Pokemon, etc., sure, give me a tutorial. With all that being said, though, if you're doing the exact same thing you've done since Gen 1 with how to catch a Pokemon, you don't need to tell me. Just say, oh, you've done this before? Cool. Tip of the hat. Here you go. Choose your starter and let's freaking go. And that's what I want. I want to make sure that the game isn't just so dumbed down like they're baby talking to me. And I feel like that's what Gen 8 and Gen 9 kind of were, in my opinion. They were just kind of like, yes, Pokemon, every Pokemon game is someone's first Pokemon game. But we're aiming it for that, right? For those first Pokemon people, right? And I get that. You want to get people brought in so that they grow up with this and this becomes they're developing their future, and that's smart. Again, I just want to make sure that they at least understand that 30 years, like, some of us are old now, like we've been around the block a couple times. We don't need to be told every little thing anymore. So just let us have our game, you know. Anyways, those are my final thoughts. Overall, Gen 10 looks It looks killer. I'm pretty hyped for it. Let me know down below your guys' thoughts if you guys made it this far. Thank you very much. Like the video, etc. Um, subscribe if you're feeling crazy today, and I'll see you guys in the next one.